Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing today? It's always good to see y'all coming in. Awesome. We're going to get started shortly. We have a really special guest today. I'm so excited to introduce you all to her. Before we have our guest join on, who is Mel Robbins, we will be doing a breathing exercise so that everyone in our community could breathe together no matter where you are in the world. If you don't mind putting in the comments, where are you joining us from today? Hi, Lindsey. Oh, my mama's on. Hi, mama. Hi, Amy. Where is everyone from? If you don't mind commenting down below. All right. So as we sit there, find a space for yourself so that you could partake in our breathing exercise. Before we begin, I just want to share where the breathing exercise for today, the inspiration is coming from this t-shirt. And it says, take what you need. And then there's all these options of what you could take. You could take wisdom, self-control, motivation, peace. And this was designed by Bless the Messy on Instagram. And so it just reminded me of the power that we have to check in with ourselves and to ask ourselves, what do we need today? Do I need love? Do I need acceptance? So as we breathe together today, set the intention that you'll be checking in with yourself and focusing on asking yourself what it is that you need. So I'm going to play some music, some meditative music for you all. So wherever you are, take a moment to lengthen your spine, relax your shoulders, put one hand on your heart and the other hand on your belly. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Take a big deep breath in through your nose. Hold it at the top and relax your body. Take another deep breath in through your nose. Hold it at the top and breathe out. Take a deep breath in through your nose and expand your chest. And relax your body. Bring your attention on yourself. What is something that you need? Do you need acceptance? Do you need love? Do you need compassion? Connect with that part of yourself. If you notice your mind begin to wander, gently bring your attention back to your breath. And when you're ready, open your eyes and join the rest of the community. All right, that was so lovely. It's one of my favorite parts of my day when we get to breathe as a community together, because you can feel it. Even though it's through this online platform, you can still feel everyone doing it together as a community. All right, I'm so excited to introduce to you all today's guest. Her name is Mel Robbins. She's a motivational speaker, a best-selling author. She has her own TV show called The Mel Robbins Show. She is one of my role models and someone who has completely changed my life and the way I act in my days. And she talks about the 5-second rule. And after this live, you should go on YouTube and fall into the rabbit hole of looking up all the things that Mel Robbins talks about. You will feel so good learning all about. All right, it's connecting, y'all. I'm so excited.
Hey!
Hi, Mel. How are you today?
Today, April 17th, I am doing A-okay. I like to ground myself in the actual day because it seems to change every day.
Absolutely. And it's hard to keep track of the days because they're all kind of blurring together. Yeah. It's such an honor to have you on here. And I know that our community is going to learn so much from everything you have to share with them. But one thing that I'm personally curious about is, what is your definition of self-care?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not sure anybody has ever asked me that. What is my definition of self-care? Let's see. I think my definition of self-care is managing the thoughts that are in my mind so that they are powerful, they are kind, they cheer me on. And I just saw, I'm sorry, my ADD is on fire. I just saw a bluebird outside my window. That is absolutely amazing.
That's amazing.
Bright, bright, bright blue, peach chest, gorgeous.
Wow.
So no, my form of my definition of self-care is 1,000% managing the way I talk to myself.
And so was there a certain time in your life where you felt like you needed to take better care of yourself because at that point it was impacting your mental health?
Oh my God. Like literally every day.
Right.
I mean, I'm 51 years old. I struggled with anxiety profoundly. I mean, medicated for it for 25 years. And I started taking my mindset health very seriously about 5 years ago, because I noticed that, I was able to use the 5-second rule in order to
talk about the 5-second rule a little bit.
What's that?
Did you want to talk a little bit about the 5-second rule in case anyone didn't know?
Sure. I mean, for those of you that don't know what the 5-second rule is, it's very simple. It's a little tool that you can use. Do you hear all that feedback? Is that just me?
I hear a little bit of feedback. Is it coming from my end?
I don't know. I've never had this happen before on an Instagram live. So I don't know if it's your computer or mine. Do you guys hear that feedback? Yep, there's the hearts. Is that better?
Is that better? I can hold my phone like this. Someone hears some too. Okay.
Yeah, I think maybe our phones were resting on something and then that was echoing. And so it was a slight thing. Okay, so way better.
Worries. Okay.
So so the 5-second rule, for those who don't know it, super simple. It's going to sound really stupid, but basically, if you count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, got to count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you count backwards in any moment where you feel afraid, you feel anxious, you feel unmotivated, or you're procrastinating, it is a little brain hack that switches gears in your mind. And the act of counting backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I call it the 5-second rule, gives you a 5-second push where you interrupt negative thoughts or a lack of motivation, or you interrupt fear, interrupt anxiety. And by the counting backwards, you switch gears in your mind and you give yourself immediate control over your thoughts and actions. And so, it's incredible. I discovered it by mistake 10 years ago. I introduced it to the world in a TED Talk that now has almost 23 million views.
That's amazing.
And I wrote a book about it. The 5-second rule is the book. And I do. This is the book about it. And we have tons of free content online about it, and people use it to live with depression, because depression lies to you and makes you feel heavy and blah and dark. And you can 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 push yourself to do the things that you need to do. People also use it in inpatient psychiatric settings. So clinicians are using it to help people use it as a tool to stabilize your mood, whether you're high or you're low. We know of people using it to reprogram their triggers associated with PTSD. It's highly effective with anxiety. I used it to cure my own anxiety.
Wow.
And to get off medication and to fundamentally change the thinking patterns that were making me beat the shit out of myself.
Wow.
And so that's what it is. You just start counting backwards when your mind drifts to something you don't want to do, or when you need to push yourself and move in a different direction. And that's it. And so I actively work on what my mind is thinking about. And that is my form of self-care.
I love that. And so when you discovered this and you were in that mental health state, what did you feel like when you were like, this moment of like, this is actually working for me, as it was in the early stages?
Well, I mean, when I discovered it, it was 11 years ago. And my husband and I were going through the first recession here in the United States when the real estate market dropped out. And I was $800,000 in debt, unemployed, and about to lose everything. And like a lot of people that struggle with mental health issues, I couldn't get out of bed. And so I first used it to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch myself out of bed. And I was shocked when it started to work. And then I used it the next morning and it worked again. Used it the next morning, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 again. And then I realized I was onto something. And what I was onto is a universal truth about how change happens. That change happens in a 5-second window. That's it. Whether it's a big change or a little change, because there's a 5-second window between a moment of inspiration and fear stopping you. There's a 5-second window between a moment of terror and not losing it. And we've even heard from, I just recently had a COVID-19 ICU nurse on a live stream with me who explained that she's using 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and that countdown method to hold it together all day long. So that's how it works. That's what self-care means to me.
And so another thing that I was curious, you mentioned that it helps with anxiety and depression. But have you seen situations where someone was in a mental state where they just needed to stay in bed and maybe that they didn't need to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 go, or they felt like that voice like didn't even exist in their mind? Like, how can the people who are really stuck in this mental state and that they're having a hard time getting out of it, what can they do?
Well, the first thing that you have to understand is that depression, yes, it is a disease, but it's lying to you. And that there are simple things that your clinician, your psychiatrist, your psychologist, your doctor has told you that you need to do. And the thing about depression is that depression lies to you and makes you think that those things aren't going to work. And it makes you think you can't do it. And that's a lie. And so we know, for example, that getting out of bed is essential if you're depressed. Getting out of bed is essential if you have anxiety. And so if you lie in bed and you feel the weight of all of your troubles and your mental health issues, that is lying to you. And so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 interrupts that lie and pushes you out of bed. And it works because it switches from the automated part of the brain, and counting backwards requires focus. And it gives you control. It awakens the part of the brain that gives you control over what you're thinking and doing. We also know that the single best thing that you can do for depression and anxiety is exercise. But you will never feel like doing it if you're anxious or depressed. And so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I just used it today. I was on my computer. I'm busier than ever. I am just working nonstop. And like all of you, I'm sitting on my ass all day. And so I wonder, God, how is it that I can be so freaking tired if all I do is sit on my ass? And the truth is that that's lying to me, that routine. And so at 2 o'clock this afternoon, I moved a call that I had and said, I have got to get my ass on that yoga mat for a half an hour. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I got up from this computer. I then walked over to the room where I go. I don't feel like doing it, but I'm going. That's how it works. You change your life 5 seconds at a time. You win the battle with depression 5 seconds at a time. You win the battle with anxiety 5 seconds at a time. You win the battle with your own bullshit from your childhood trauma 5 seconds at a time. That's what it is. And so I think that I think a lot of us that struggle with mental health issues, you can start to feel a sense of despair, like, oh shit, not this again.
Right.
You cannot buy into that. And that's where the 5 second rule has been so effective for millions of people, because it's free.
Right.
It's easy to remember. It's got tons of science behind it.
It works.
And it works every time you use it.
Yes. That's incredible. That's incredible. Do you find yourself having to use it less now that you're at the stage in your life that you are?
Yeah, because what happens is all of this stuff, not depression, but anxiety is just a habit. Like, I don't believe that anxiety is a disease. I believe anxiety is a learned response that gets reinforced and rewarded. And so then you use it over and over and over again, subconsciously or consciously, because it works. It gets you out of a jam. You don't have to face uncertainty. People rescue your ass. You get attention. And don't tell me I'm wrong. I struggled with it for 25 years. So I am the master of this. And I have 2 kids that struggle with it. And so it becomes a habit. And the 5 second rule is what's called a starting ritual that helps you interrupt old habits and start new ones. And so what happens in any area of your life, and you know this, is that when you start to interrupt patterns that don't serve you, and you interrupt them and replace them with different patterns, your patterns and habits become healthier. So my mind does not default all day long to shitty thoughts.
Right.
I am a wildly positive and optimistic person. And when I have moments of despair or moments of procrastination or moments of feeling negative, I weed that shit out so fast.
And they're just moments. That's I think something important to note, that these moments happen at a time, and then you go on to the next moment and you count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get out of your own head.
Yeah. And here's the other thing is that, like, when you first start using it, count out loud, count to yourself. But the more you use it over and over again, whether it's to push yourself to exercise or push yourself out of bed or push yourself, just because you're socially distant doesn't mean you have to isolate yourself.
Right.
Push yourself to reach out to a friend, push yourself to do a teleconference with your doctor, whatever it is that you need. Push yourself to get out the damn door and go for a walk. Push yourself to eat something healthy instead of the carbohydrates that comfort you and then make you feel like crap. You can use it over and over and over again. And when you start to feel what it feels like to switch gears, you can do it almost without counting.
Wow. That's amazing. What would you say is your motivational tip for those who are quarantined right now? And other than the 5 second rule, something that they can do to keep their motivation during this time of uncertainty, of people feeling stuck physically in their home and maybe stuck mentally because they're stuck with their mind.
The advice is going to sound really repetitive because it's what works. You have to have a routine.
Yeah.
Period. You have to create a routine.
And how long did it take you to create your routine that works for you?
During this moment, 15 minutes. Seriously, like, we don't have to overcomplicate this stuff. You need a wake-up time.
Right.
You need to exercise because your body stores tension. You got to move that shit out of there. And you don't have an excuse anymore. You're not going anywhere. Right. And if you're watching this, I know that you have access to watch free videos that are getting streamed online. There's so many people out there doing free classes. Get your ass on one and move your body. You need to eat healthy. You need to set a quitting time for when you're done working. You need to turn the damn news off. I will tell you what the news is going to sound like from now until September 1. People are dying. You need to stay inside. Goodbye. That's it. That's
and wash your hands. Yeah.
That's it.
Wow.
Like, there's no reason to turn on this negativity. And so, and then you need to have a bedtime. That's your routine, period. That's all you need. And so what I noticed is, I didn't exercise first thing this morning, which I normally do. And that already made me go like, okay, something's off. So you just need a routine. That's one tip. Number 2, you need to set a milestone for yourself for when you actually think that life is going to go back to stage one of normal.
Yeah.
Do not give control to the government and the country that you're in, because what governments are going to do is they're going to keep moving the milestone, because that's how they're going to manage people from freaking out. Right. And so I'm living as if we're all in self-isolation in the United States until at least July 4th. And I'm living like my kids are not going back to college this fall, because I know that without being able to test people, there's no way that we can move back into any kind of normal life. Right. And they don't have a test. We don't need a vaccine. You need to know who's been exposed and who hasn't. Right. Because once you know you've been exposed and you're on the other side of this, you can go back to normal life.
Yeah, definitely a good.
And here's the thing I want everyone to understand. The virus does not move, everybody. People move. So if you can get people to stop moving, this virus will stop moving.
Yeah.
And then stay home. The virus will die. And we can all please go back to life.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you hear a little bit of feedback when I speak?
I don't anymore.
You don't anymore? Okay. I hear a little bit, but I can push through it. That's okay. How has this quarantine impacted your family dynamics now that you're stuck in a house with a family? And could you give feedback to anyone who's stuck with their family as well and working through these self-isolation?
Sure. So it's been for me wonderful to have our kids home, because our kids are 21, 19, and then we have a 15-year-old son. Oh, wow. It is our children's worst nightmare, because they're at the moment in time where they're loving their independence. Sure. And so I am practicing a huge amount of hands-off parenting right now, because what my kids desperately need is they need the independence to set their own schedule, the independence to sort through their feelings with their friends, the independence to go through this however they need to go through this, and the space to feel the disappointment and the loss and the frustration that they're feeling. And so for our family, it's been, it's been oddly wonderful, because life is slowed down and we're safe and we're lucky and we can pay our bills and we have food, and we're dealing with the emotional roller coaster that everybody's feeling of, fuck, this again? You people again? How much longer? What do you mean college is going to get canceled? What? Right. What? And so just letting everybody ride the wave. Yeah. One thing that we've done that's been super helpful is for the first 4 weeks, we played a game at dinner where we would go around the table and say, what's your percentage? And you would talk about how you were feeling. And it was a way to check in emotionally without being cheesy, which kids hate. And then after 4 weeks, our kids said, can we stop doing it? Because it makes me feel like all we do is talk about COVID-19. And we said, sure. And so they've come up with a plan for these 2 weeks where every night's a theme night. So last night was you could wear anything but clothes to dinner. So one of our daughters took 2 pillows, one in front and one back, and taped it around herself. And I wore like a box across my top, and I wore grocery bags across my bottom. Tonight we're drawing names out of a hat, and you got to dress like somebody else in the family. That's given us something to look forward to, because I think that's what you got to create in your life right now. You got to create moments to look forward to.
And it kind of breaks up the same routine of going to dinner and then going back.
Totally.
Can you hear me?
Well, one thing that I would do is I would for sure go to my YouTube or Instagram page, because we just put out 2 videos with the world's leading expert on narcissism and toxic people. And it's all about the strategies to use, because what you have to understand is if you're with a toxic person, toxic people love the fight. Toxic people are never going to think about you. Toxic people love it when you're agitated. And so you need to do what Dr. Ramani calls as soul distancing. I hear a lot of people say they can't hear anything. Do all of you feel like audio is out? All these people are saying audio is out.
No. Okay.
Okay. Some can hear, some can't. We're going to keep on going. You need a soul distance, which basically means don't engage. Exactly. I can see people going, yep, that's what that means. It means if they are not, if they were trying to pick a fight, walk away. If they are not abiding by the safety rules, you got to walk away and not pick a fight, because they're never, ever, 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 ever going to conform. You know that. You know these people. This is not a moment in time when they're going to transform. You got to learn how to what we call soul distance.
And it's like you're protecting yourself because you're recognizing the distance between you and that toxic person. I love that.
Toxic people also hate to be told what to do. And right now they're being told by the governments what to do. And so they're like more agitated than ever because they've lost control, which is the thing that a toxic or narcissistic person craves the most. And so they're going to take it out on you. Are you there? Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you. I can. I think it must be on your end.
Huh. Oh, no. Should we?
You should check. Why don't you check your phone and see if it's trying to connect to Wi-Fi? Because you keep freezing. Yeah, it's sounds better already.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, I just took it off Wi-Fi. Oh, these technology on IG Live, I feel like there's always something. I wanted to give the community the opportunity to ask you a question if they had anything to ask you about something that's going on in their life. So if anyone wanted to ask Mel a question or just wants to say something in the comments, feel free to comment below.
All right, here's your opportunity, everybody. And you're freezing again.
Can you guys let me know if you can hear me? Aw.
I just saw one question. What do you do if you don't like exercising? Suck it up. Seriously, you're not going to like, nobody likes doing the things that improve their life.
Right. Someone says, I was just crying because of toxic parent and came onto Mel's page to see if she had any videos or helpful advice. And this live is talking about toxic people. Feels like such a crazy coincidence. Yes, it does.
Yes. Also look at the feed on Instagram or on YouTube, because we just put up 2 new videos about toxic people and narcissism.
So anyone who needs support right now on what to do, go to Mel's page. She puts out so much amazing free content. So if you're unsure.
So I just saw somebody say that they're depressed and gaining weight. So here's what I need you to understand is that boredom and not being able to go out and see people is very triggering.
Yeah.
And food is something that gives us comfort. And you got to really watch this, though, because what's going to happen is if you're eating because you're lonely, or you're eating because you're bored, or you're eating because you don't have a routine, or you're eating because you have a sense of despair, or you're eating because you don't know what to do between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m., you need to break that cycle and start to ask yourself when you're reaching for food, what am I feeding? Am I feeding myself because I'm hungry for real? Or am I feeding myself because I'm feeling something I don't want to feel? And the biggest opportunity of personal growth right now is for you to be able to feel feelings of discomfort and still stay grounded and in control. Emotional resilience is a skill. It's a form of self-care. It's the ability to feel despair and feel bored and not sabotage yourself. It's the ability to feel the uncertainty of this moment and to not reach for the booze or the food or the stuff that numbs you. It's to stand present in it. How do you create certainty? You hack it. You create certainty by having a routine and by sticking to it, because then you're keeping promises to yourself, which creates certainty. You put a milestone out there for yourself. And heck, if the government opens up faster than that, fantastic. But put something out in the future where you're like, well, I got 2 months to run this race. Can't see the finish line. Feeling kind of tired right now. I got to dig a little bit deeper. Gonna keep going. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, that's amazing. And to be able to cultivate that much motivation from inside yourself is hard, but it is really helpful to hear you say all of this. And I relate to so many of the things that we're talking about, and it's already helping me. So,
well, you know, and here's the thing, like, don't tell me you don't know what to do.
Right.
Sitting there and scrolling through social media and feeling sorry for yourself, that's not what you should be doing. Right. You should be listening to audiobooks. You should be watching empowering content. You should be creating, you should be taking on a project. You should be taking care of your body. You should be connecting with family members. Get off social media unless it is something positive, like self-care is for everyone, or my account, Mel Robbins. You know what to do. You got to push yourself to do it.
And you can control who you follow. You get to pick who's in your virtual world and who shows up on your newsfeed.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. There's so many questions coming in now. If you want to pick one that you resonate with.
Let's see. I only see I think you see more than I do, because I only see one at a time from my angle. And so I don't see,
how do you manage being
how do you stop comparing yourself with, go ahead.
No, you go for it.
How do you stop comparing yourself to your friend? Identify whether it's jealousy or envy. If it's envy, that's an ugly emotion, because it means that you believe they don't deserve what they have. If it's jealousy, jealousy is a signal that is coming from inside your soul that tells you something that you're interested in having. And I suggest that if it's jealousy, you pay attention to that desire that you have. And instead of wasting time and energy being jealous of your friend, put time and energy into working toward getting it for yourself.
That is so wise. Yes. Being aware of what your emotions and feelings are telling you. Someone is asking, how do you manage being helpful without taking on others' energies? I love being helpful to people, but want to find out more ways to be able to manage all their pain. How do I do it?
You can't manage their pain. That's number one.
Yeah.
I think that's, you have to give people the space to be in pain. The reason why you're taking on so much is you're uncomfortable watching somebody in pain. It's about you. And so the best thing to do for somebody who's in pain is to ask them, what can I do to support you today? That's it.
Because now you're putting the ball in their court, that you're there to listen to what their needs are and how can you help them. And then you can set your boundaries on what you can do versus what you can't do and can't take on.
Yep.
Absolutely. Someone is asking, some of these questions we already answered, so I don't want to. How to get over a narcissist. I'm so depressed he dumped me with no explanations and trying to text me casually every once in a while.
First of all, block him. Why on earth does this person have your number?
Yeah.
So you need to block them. A narcissist will never, ever, ever be interested in you. A narcissist is incapable of it. In fact, what I've learned from the leading expert on narcissism on the planet, Dr. Ramani, is that narcissists aren't born, they're made. And once you are a narcissist, not somebody with narcissistic tendencies, a true narcissist, it is impossible to rehabilitate you because it's a neurological, it's a personality disorder.
Wow.
And so they are used to gaslighting you. They're used to using you. They're used to getting attention from you. The only way that this works is cut them off.
Yeah, absolutely. Block them on whatever social media you have to, as well as your phone.
Hell yes, they should not have access to you.
Yes. Is there any tips for those alone with ADHD during self-isolation?
You got to be a little bit more patient with yourself. Things are going to take twice as long because your brain is overloaded processing this new normal. So your brain is already running 2 marathons a day, more than it would normally. Even if your ass is in a chair, your mind is spinning like this all day.
Right.
And so you've got to really give yourself twice the amount of time and make sure you take breaks every 45 minutes. Your brain needs it. Make sure you eat healthy foods because crappy foods are going to tank your energy level. Because ADHD, the thing that's interesting about ADD and ADHD is that it's an inability to focus your attention. You can focus your attention when you have to.
Yeah.
But when you need to, it's very hard to direct your attention where it needs to go. And what you have to remember is that your brain is like a car that has a gas tank and it needs fuel to run. And somebody with ADD like myself or somebody that has ADHD, what that means is our brains run so fast. It's like a Ferrari brain with bicycle brakes. Your brain runs so fast that you run out of gas 6 hours before somebody else does.
Wow.
And so you got to take breaks every 45 minutes. You've got to, I use Post-it notes to keep myself top of mind, the things I need to do. And I also have given myself twice as much time to get things done that I normally would.
And allowing yourself to do things at a slower pace, being compassionate with yourself, that this is a really difficult time.
Yes. Changing is a choice. And if you don't have the motivation or you don't have the desire to stop being negative, you're never going to change. I can't give it to you. That is something that you've got to make, a decision that you've got to make for yourself. And you're never going to feel ready to do it. You're never going to feel like you can do it. It comes down to a moment where you're like, fuck it, I need to change this.
Focus. And I was thinking, we are never taught how to focus our energy, how to meditate. And I feel as though if whoever asked that question, if you've never meditated before, try meditating and focusing on your breathing and focusing on one thing for a certain amount of time, just to practice that muscle of focusing your attention on something. Yeah, just wanted to put that.
You're breaking up again. It's a weird delay. I personally think it's Instagram because it's so choked with live streams. I think it's breaking up so much.
On and for answering
I
our
think we should
questions.
probably say goodbye, unfortunately.
Yes, no
Yeah,
problem.
of course. I'm sorry that the Wi-Fi was not
No,
working, but
no
you're
problem.
doing awesome stuff out there.
Thank you so much. I think there's a delay, so
You're welcome, darling. You're welcome. No problem. It was great being with you.
Likewise. Right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining.